Do you want to be healthier, yet you just don't know what to do? All these shows telling you this and that, but nothing seems to work. Well, listen close. Golden State Media Concepts has got something great for you. The Health and Wellness Podcast dedicated to workout trends, healthy eating habits, diet, and everything about healthy living. Join us in our banters as we help you not just live life to the fullest, but live it to the healthiest.
Hello and welcome to the GSMC Health and Wellness Podcast. I am usually your co-host, Sarah. Today I am solo hosting. At any rate, the first topic that we are going to be talking about today, and when I say we, I mean you and I, even though you're not here in the studio with me. I don't mean the royal we, definitely not royal. The first topic that I, here in the studio, will be talking about, and you out there in podcast land will hopefully be listening to, if you haven't been like, no, Stacy, not listening, is hay bathing. Yes, you did hear me correctly. I said hay bathing. Hay, H-A-Y, not H-E-Y, not like, hey, you over there bathing. No, hay bathing, bathing in hay. It is actually a tradition that's been around for a couple hundred years. It was first documented in 1871. It's a tradition in Austria. Turns out that farmers and those who were around hay a lot, who slept in hay, as happens for a variety of reasons, would find that they would wake up and be full of energy and in less pain. And because of this pretty anecdotal evidence, I would say, there is a hotel in Italy now, and let me double check on that hotel name. It starts with an H, Hotel Hubad. As Stacey always says, not sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly, H-E-U-B-A-D. The Modern Farmer reports that for $45, the Hotel Hubad will cover you in a luxurious pile of fermented hay. Not just hay. No, this isn't fresh hay. This is fermented hay. We've got mud baths. We cover ourselves in all kinds of things that have various purported health benefits, and this just seems, it's not new. It's been around for a couple of hundred years, but new, at least at this hotel, I think. It's a resort hotel in northern Italy, and according to the hotel, they state the same thing, that this practice has been around for centuries, cites the farmers who would sleep in the hay and wake up full of energy. And when others began to envy, this article says, the vitality of these straw sleepers, hay bathing became a thing. Now, Hotel Hubad promises only extra fatty hay for its guests. I don't know what that means exactly, extra fatty hay. But after being wrapped in this extra fatty hot hay, it's not cold hay. The spa goer then lies on a waterbed, is wrapped in a sheet, and can relax without first removing the entire hay. This is supposed to be a treatment against things like stiff necks, muscle contractions, muscle cramps, stiff joints, and obesity. I find this fascinating. I talk about my allergies all the time on this podcast, so you know what I'm going to say first. I can't imagine doing this. Hay, not my friend. So I cannot imagine immersing myself in it for reasons of health. I guess if it really did do the things that it says it does, maybe I could take a whole lot of allergy medicine and give it a shot, but it wouldn't necessarily be my first choice. Yeah, so you before the treatment, I did mention that it was hot. Before the treatment, the hay is soaked in hot water, and you are then wrapped in the hay for 15 to 20 minutes before being wrapped in linen sheets then for your meditative come down periods. Now, there have been no comprehensive studies on these supposed benefits. There haven't been, any, I don't know if there have been any studies, but there haven't been any comprehensive studies beyond the anecdotal evidence that hay bathing really does what it says it does. But there is obviously that anecdotal evidence where people who slept in hay felt like they woke up with more energy, felt like maybe stiff muscles, stiff joints, maybe muscle cramps, etc., felt better after a night of hay. Or sleeping in hay, I don't know if there is something else that could explain it besides the hay. I also don't know if people who are now experiencing the spa treatment would say the same thing, would say after their 15 to 20 minutes of being wrapped in the fatty hay, if they feel more energized, more rejuvenated. I am trying to think of the last time I was around hay. I mean, I've been around hay, but again, with the allergies, probably as a kid, jumping around in hay, but I was a kid, so I had way more energy to begin with. So I cannot say if I came out of that experience more energized. Probably my mom would hope not, because I was already all hyped up playing. If I was playing in hay, I was playing with my cousins, so I would have been plenty hyped up as it was, and then I did not need to be more rejuvenated after that. So I find this fascinating, as I find so many things on this podcast fascinating. It's actually, I missed a note. The treatments use fermented, as I said, but alpine hay, so specifically, but it's also combined with healing herbs such as arnica, heather, and thyme, which are all full of essential oils. And we just did a podcast not too long ago about essential oils, and so maybe the combination thereof kind of helps with that rejuvenation or something along those lines. Maybe it's the combination of whatever it is in the fermented hay along with the essential oils that help you to feel better after your time there, more relaxed, more energized, whatever it might be. I'm not sure essential oils necessarily would help with the cramps or the joint pain, but I don't know that 100% sure. I'm not going to say that for sure because I do not know that for definite, and there have not been comprehensive studies on this treatment. So, hay bathing, it's a thing. I don't know if it's a thing here, but if you want to go to northern Italy, you can check out the Hotel Hubad, which is it's a resort in northern Italy. It can't be all bad, right? So go there, have a fabulous northern Italian vacation, and check out hay bathing. Could be interesting. And then report back to me on what you find out. I'd love to hear your experience. I am going to take my first break, so stay tuned. You're listening to the GSMC Health and Wellness Podcast, and I will be right back.
Still on the search of that one true love? On the limbo in this crazy world of dating, marriage, relationships? Well, listen to the Golden State Media Concepts Relationship Podcast, your one-stop podcast for everything about relationships.
Welcome back to the GSMC Health and Wellness Podcast. I titled this episode Alternative Plant Uses. I was trying to come up with a more clever play on words than that, but apparently just was not feeling it tonight with the clever play on words. At any rate, in the first segment, I talked about hay bathing, which is an alternative use for hay that I never thought of. Obviously, I've heard of sleeping in hay. Comes in handy if you have to take a nap in a barn, or all those stories where if you're caught in a blizzard and you tunnel into a giant hay bale, giant hay mound. It's been known to save people's lives. But bathing in hay, this was the first for me to experience that. This next segment is called marijuana massage, and topical cannabinoids are, according to doctors, antioxidants and anti-inflammatories with possible pain-killing properties. Now, in the last, I don't even know how many years, the number of things that have come out about the use of cannabis for various to give various health benefits, have been phenomenal. Whatever your feelings are on this topic, we're going to set those aside and just talk about the studies that have been done on medical marijuana, on the use of cannabis in all these ways. But massage is not one. Maybe I've thought about it a little more than I've thought about hay bathing, because I have heard that rubbing cannabis oil onto a person's, I think, feet can help to either stop or lessen epileptic seizures, which I find fascinating. I've read some reports on that. I don't know what studies have been done. The couple of stories I've heard, I think, were more anecdotal, but the still seem to have amazing results. So that's kind of massage. I mean, it's still rubbing it into a body part, but a cannabinoid, if you've never heard that word, I have never heard that word, but I guess makes sense with cannabis being the topic of what we are covering. A cannabinoid are chemical compounds found in cannabis plants. Makes sense, right? So there are more than 100 active cannabinoids in cannabis. That seems like a lot. Maybe there are lots of active compounds in most plants. I do not know, but that seems impressive to me that there are more than 100 active cannabinoids in cannabis. And frankly, I do kind of enjoy saying the word cannabinoid. Hopefully I'm pronouncing it right. So some of the salves, creams, lotions, oils, sprays, and patches on the market contain hemp-derived CBD, which contains a minuscule amount of THC, no more than 0.3%, as their pain-relieving property. Others contain marijuana-derived CBD, which contains much more, up to 25% in dried marijuana buds. THC. So both THC and CBD stop pain through the endocannabinoid system. What is that, you ask yourself? Well, that's a very, very good question, because I never thought I'd say the word endocannabinoid. Didn't even know it was a word, frankly. The endocannabinoid receptors are in every organ, including the skin, and typically found on nerve cells and immune cells in these organs. Fascinating. Something else I find fascinating? The fact that when I looked up endocannabinoid systems, one thing that came up was endocannabinoid systems for dummies. And I thought, yes, this is what I need, because when I was trying to read about endocannabinoid systems on some of the other sites, it was so many huge words, most of which I understood, but then when you strung them together in a sentence, it was just a little bit overwhelming. So this article starts out by asking the question, have you ever wondered how THC works? Well, it just so happens to have a similar structure to a compound our bodies create naturally. Thanks to its chemical structure, THC is able to tap into a network in our bodies called the endocannabinoid system. It's this ability that gives THC its psychoactive effects. But what is the endocannabinoid system, and what does it do? To help you understand, we've created a handy guide to the endocannabinoid system for dummies. That whole trend of this, that, or the other thing for dummies, a little out of hand, and yet when I am a dummy and I need something like this, it comes in very handy. So ECS, endocannabinoid system, refers to a collection of cell receptors and corresponding molecules. You can think of cell receptors like little locks on the surface of your cells. The keys to these locks are chemical molecules called agonists. Each time an agonist binds to a cell, it relays a message, causing a cascade of chemical effects. So the endocannabinoid system is the name for a series of cell receptors that respond to certain kinds of agonists. 2 primary cell receptors make up the ECS. There is CB1, cannabinoid receptor 1, and CB2. And the keys to these receptors are called endocannabinoids. Endocannabinoids are like the body's natural THC. In fact, endocannabinoids got their name from cannabis. Plant cannabinoids were discovered first. Endo means within, and cannabinoid referring to a compound that fits into cannabinoid receptors. So, type in endocannabinoid system for dummies, and you can read this entire article if you are wanting to know more about this process and how it actually all works. It's actually very interesting. I am not going to I'm not going to read the entire article to you because that's not good practice, but I'm also not going to try to explain this to you in English because I'm not sure how to put it in plain English. At any rate, works on pain receptors, as I was saying earlier, so that's why it makes sense that marijuana massage would be a thing if you use, the creams or the salves, whatever you are using. Then there's, and I mentioned earlier that there's the hemp-driven CBD, which contains smaller amounts of the pain relieving property, and others contain more. So CBD is considered the more anti-pain combination or compound between the two, between CBD and THC. So many acronyms on this podcast, aren't there? CBD has been shown in animal studies to speed the healing of injured connective tissues and also has numerous anti-anxiety mechanisms which can indirectly influence pain and pain behavior. Obviously, anti-anxiety is going to contribute. If you're calmer, then studies have shown that your pain is generally less. Since it doesn't penetrate the bloodstream, topical cannabis has no psychogenic effects. This means it's not going to get you high. You're not going to be stoned. You're probably, I assume, not going to have the munchies. You know what they say about assuming. But it does relax muscles, so a therapist can go deeper without causing pain. So think of a deep tissue massage. The therapist can then go deeper, work those muscles that need to be worked, help with pain management, etc. Which is, again, I'm going to say it again, it's fascinating. There is no solid body of evidence yet regarding health claims made by companies selling CBD and THC containing products. So as with everything on this podcast, you need to do your own research. You need to ask questions. You need to not just jump blindly into these things and run out and buy yourself a bunch of CBD or THC containing lotions and then go into town giving massages to yourself and others. So I don't mean to be flip, but always do research, ask questions. Don't just take our word for it. We present you with information, but we want you to definitely look into it on your own so that you can make an informed decision on whatever it is that you are interested in learning more about. Going to take another short break. When we come back, we'll be moving on to our third and final plant of turmeric. So stay tuned. You're listening to the GSMC Health and Wellness Podcast, and I'll be right back.
Tired of searching the vast jungle of podcasts? Now listen close and hear this out. There's a podcast network that covers just about everything that you've been searching. Hey! The Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network is here. Nothing less than a podcast bliss with endless hours of podcast coverage. From news, sports, music, fashion, cooking, entertainment, fantasy, football, and so much more. So stop lurking around and go straight out to the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. Guaranteed to fill that podcast itch. whatever it may be. Visit us at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter, and download us on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Google Play.
Welcome back to the GSMC Health and Wellness Podcast. I am talking today about alternative uses for things that you might not have previously thought, like bathing in hay or marijuana massage. I said before the break that I would be turning next to my third and final topic, which is that of turmeric. When I think of turmeric, I think of a dish that my mom made growing up called yellow rice. The turmeric was what made it yellow. And that's about what I know about turmeric. I know it can be used for a lot more than just making rice yellow, but I have to confess to you that I have never really thought much about it as a spice and never really looked into it for its health benefits. Although, after I say that, I do know that I have heard people using turmeric in various things in, teas or different things, and that it does have purported health benefits like many herbs, many plants, many spices do. So let's see. Well, let's talk about turmeric and find out a little bit more about it than just turning your rice yellow. Now I really want rice, but that's beside the point. At any rate, turmeric, turns out, contains compounds with medicinal properties called curcuminoids. Oh man, curcuminoids. curcuminoids. I just butchered that word and I do apologize. The most important of which is curcumin. Curcuminoids. I'm going to go with that. Curcuminoids. The most important of which is curcumin. And curcumin is the main active ingredient in turmeric and has powerful anti-inflammatory effects and is a very strong antioxidant. Yes, when I hear about people using turmeric in whatever form they're using it, I do remember it being mentioned as being anti-inflammatory. Also a very strong antioxidant, so another good effect. Curcumin is effective for prevention and treatment of chronic inflammatory disease, leading people to believe that it's a good food for healing leaky gut and managing pain. Turmeric is naturally antibacterial and antiviral. I did not know that. That is wonderful. Antibacterial is good. Antiviral is even better. It also, curcumin protects against damage from heart attack. Always a good thing to, be thinking about your heart health. Research shows that turmeric extract and curcumin reduce the development of tumors. Research actually shows this. So that is amazing. Turmeric's antioxidant activity protects against vascular dementia, which is brain damage caused by multiple strokes. Oh, so people who have had multiple strokes or maybe in the process of having multiple strokes, turmeric's antioxidant activity can help to prevent from that type of brain damage. It can protect against vascular dementia. Good to know. I am actually intrigued by that, wondering when you start to use it, how effective it is, in what window, when is the best time to get that on board so that it does the most good, etc. Because curcumin is anti-inflammatory, it has the ability to slow down inflammation-related aging processes and diseases. Curcumin does have a limited absorption, but one of the simplest ways to increase its bioavailability is by adding a dash of black pepper, which can boost bioavailability up to 2,000%. A dash of black pepper, so bioavailability can be increased by up to 2,000%. Curcumin is also fat soluble, geez, sorry folks. So taking it with healthy fats can also help. Obviously you want to take it with healthy fats because healthy fats are healthy. Thank you, Captain Obvious. There are fats that are healthy for you. There are fats that are not healthy for you. You always want to concentrate on the healthy fats, things like avocado, those types of things that give you needed fat in your diet, but, aren't going to cause more damage. So since curcumin is fat soluble, taking it with a healthy fat can help. Moving on a little bit, as I was reading up on this, on turmeric, it turns out that curcumin and curcumin is the key ingredient in turmeric. So it's not turmeric itself per se, but the curcumin is a key ingredient. So turmeric is that yellow spice that I was talking about earlier. It's part of the ginger family, and it's been used for thousands of years in Southeast Asia, China, and India for cooking as well as medicinal uses. And although the traditional uses of turmeric are still used today, advances in modern medicine have revealed that curcumin is the key ingredient responsible for the activities and therapeutic properties of turmeric. So it's the curcumin in the turmeric that is actually doing, giving you the health benefits. Curcuminoids are a family of active compounds within that turmeric. They are pigments and include curcumin, several large words that I'm not even going to try to pronounce, but curcumin is the primary curcuminoid in turmeric and the compound for which most studies have been done, which is why we are talking about it on this segment of the podcast. Also, just to kind of backtrack and clarify what I was talking about earlier with the black pepper and the healthy fats, it turns out that curcumin has a high metabolizing rate and rapid systemic clearance. So this makes it difficult for orally administered curcumin to reach blood levels, sufficient to exert its bioactivities. So to overcome this problem, several curcumin preparations have been developed to increase that bioavailability of curcumin after oral administration with varying degrees of success. So that's what we were talking about earlier with the black pepper. It is fat soluble, so taking it with that can help get more benefits because it does metabolize at a very fast rate or a high metabolizing rate, and it does clear your system rapidly. So you want to try to get as many health benefits out of it as you can in terms of those anti-inflammatory properties, etc. So, yes, if you are someone that thinks that turmeric might be of beneficial use to you, or specifically the curcuminoids within turmeric, definitely something that you might want to look into, especially for its anti-inflammatory properties. It can, it's a natural, more homeopathic remedy. So if that is something that you are wanting to look into, again, ask your questions, talk to a doctor, talk to a naturopath, talk to someone who has information, someone that you are comfortable with and whom you trust. Also do your own research and don't be afraid to get second opinions. So I hope that something in this podcast has sparked your interest in terms of the alternative uses for plants. I don't think that I will be taking a hay bath anytime soon, but I am intrigued by the uses of turmeric and continue to be fascinated by the studies done on cannabis and all of its variants and various medicinal properties and what they are discovering that it can be used for. So that's it. I'm going to wrap it up for today's episode of the GSMC Health and Wellness Podcast. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you will join me again for Tuesday's episode when Tate and I will be speaking with Catherine Arnston, who is the CEO of Energy Bits. She is a proponent of algae. She is very passionate about the subject, and I learned so much by speaking to her. And so I hope that you will join us on Tuesday to listen to that interview and learn more about algae, specifically spirulina and chlorella. She is a wealth of information. She is very, very passionate, and we had a great time talking to her. So join us on Tuesday to learn more about algae. In the meantime, have a wonderful weekend and stay healthy.
You've been listening to the Golden State Media Concepts Health and Wellness Podcast, part of the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. You can find this show and others like it at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Download our podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, and Google Play. Just type in GSMC to find all the shows from the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network, from movies to music, from sports to entertainment, and even weird news. You can also follow us on Twitter and on Facebook. Thank you, and we hope you have enjoyed today's program.